Greetings, everyone, and welcome once again to Oberon's Outlook on the Emotional Exchanges. And this, of course, is a weekly tarot reading forecast on the emotional spectrum, the ups and downs, the currents and undercurrents that you may be facing in the week ahead, depending on your astrology sign, as I do order this reading by the elemental association. So I work through the air signs, the fire signs, the water signs, and the earth signs. I give each of these signs or these qualities a word of the week to also help them resonate through the emotional stuff going on. I'd like to just take a quick moment to address the idea about how our society, world, the culture, everything has been influenced by the coronavirus. And I want everyone to remember to take hope, to keep working with what the protocols of science are establishing. Although spirit is very strong in wanting our complete survival and recovery, we have to work within the laws of nature, within the laws of science. So listen to the scientists, not those who don't necessarily speak with authority. I'm telling you the truth. So now I'm going to go ahead and shuffle those cards for the word of the week, and we will begin our reading. Remember, you can also catch our live stream along with my partner Banshee Shadow Wolf as we do this twice a week live stream answering your questions, doing general readings. And that's at the bottom of the screen, but it's on Thursday nights, like last night, from 7 to 9 p.m. And then on Sunday afternoons from 2 to 4 p.m. So I think I'm ready for the word of the week. And by the way, I wanted to address that persistent rumor that Oberon is colorblind. As you can see, I'm perfectly coordinated. My snappy orange cape and my brilliant evergreen robe. What could not be more color coordinated, right? So here we go. And we are going to read first for the air signs. There we go. And those are Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. They tend to be a little bit more intellectually focused. They see things from more logical qualities, perhaps. And their word of the week is generosity. Whoops, let's get that into view there. There we go. Got to work on that. Generosity. This is a great time for everyone, not just the air signs, to be showing this trait. All of the human race, all of life needs our generosity, our heartfelt, truly, freely given care and things that we can do for others, especially those who are most possibly being afflicted by the coronavirus. So keep that in mind. You guys would appreciate that. And now we'll get on to our reading. Remember to check out our YouTube channel for other types of readings we do. We do a monthly modality reading that is also astrologically focused, but quite unique and different. It's a month-long reading. You should check that out. All right, air signs. What do we have for you for this next week? And that week is, by the way, beginning today, Friday the 27th, and going through next Thursday. And I believe that's, oh dear, I'm fudging. I think that's March 2nd. I can't think at the moment. So sorry about that. But it is starting today, Friday, March 27th. So we have 3 cards. We have the reversed 6 of Wands, we have the upright Ace of Swords. And then we have the reversed Four of Discs, also known as Pentacles or Coins. So what is that about? Well, I think I see some problems ahead that will affect you emotionally, but maybe not in that heartfelt emotional way. It may be more about your feelings of security, how you will feel about that with this crisis that's going on. The Six of Wands sort of indicates maybe there are some problems with being totally in charge of your situation, that maybe in particular, a particular venture has not succeeded or is not likely to succeed. Though I sort of feel that this was a masterful dealing, it is maybe something you can approach again, possibly sooner than later, this undertaking. So I don't think it's totally the fault of the undertaking. It may have been some other issues. It may have been a time of restriction or maybe reallocament of funding. If there was something to do possibly with some material resources in this situation, they may be redirected or given to some other concern. So it could be something like that. So it's kind of interesting when we think about the word of generosity, and I guess we just have to all buy into the idea that perhaps everything is not going to flow exactly the way we want from that point of view, and we have to try to be generous and understanding that there may be other people that need this redistribution of resources to help during the crisis. So I hope you will keep that in mind, you air signs. And that's what we have for this week. So thank you very much. And now we're going to move on to our fire signs. And fire signs are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. And they tend to be a little bit more fiery oriented, maybe more energizing. They have a sense of emotionality within them, but sometimes it's more transformative, perhaps. It may be felt in some sort of overall sense of the identity rather than just fixated in their heart or their sense of feelings. So let's turn the card to see what their word of the week is. And their word of the week is innovation. Innovation. So I want fire signs to keep that in mind. It may suggest that as we're going through our situations here, we're going to have to try to be more creative, more pioneering in certain ways, making certain connections that are not necessarily obvious because we're innovating that. So that's your word of the week, and hopefully it's a guide for what you can do. So now we're going to go ahead and shuffle the cards for your reading. For the week ahead, fire signs. And next Thursday is April the 2nd. I just more or less put that together in my calculating kind of mind there. So this reading is good for today, March 28th. Whoops. To next Thursday, which is March 2nd. Did I get them all? Okay, good. Sorry about that. Let's go back and focus for a moment. All right. And as you can see, I didn't mention it, but I am broadcasting today from the wonderful TFT Tarot for Today Esoteric Library. Although you only see one shelf behind me, generally be assured that there's 6 ranges over there, no 5 ranges, and another 1 or 2 that's not inside over here, and a cabinet over there with a lot of unique items It is, in fact, our esoteric study, library, etc. room. So let's get to our reading, fire signs. And we have drawn the King of Wands upright. And we have drawn the Ten of Swords upright. And then we have also drawn the Lovers reversed. Holy cow, Batman. This one looks kind of dramatic here. I am getting the feeling that maybe something really dramatic and ending or finis is happening, perhaps in an important, if not in fact a primary relationship for fire signs. I'm seeing a dramatic conclusion that may result in serious feelings of harm or hurt. I know a lot of times people look at this as a literal death card, but I see it as just the ending within the context of our reading here. The King of Wands may be indicating an energy here, taking charge, having attention, attraction, magnifying something, magnetizing something towards yourself. I don't know, that's kind of weird, eh? And then, of course, the Lover's reverse indicates a wrong decision, taking a decision, choosing something that you probably don't. And I'm wondering if fire signs are being put into a position where they have to make a serious choice that will cause them some emotional breakup of their primary relationship. And of course, I'm immediately thinking of people in their work situations. And remember the first card, the first set of readings, I thought for air signs pertain more to their workplace. And I'm thinking this could be a really strong, you do have a primary relationship if you're employed, if you have a work situation, especially if you've been there a long time. And I'm hoping it's not true, but I'm wondering if there's going to be something really decisive happening in your workplace that may involve stress and ending of things. So watch out for that. A lot of harsh changes are being taken into account because of the way business has changed, really. So it's not really good for anyone right now. Sorry about that. I am so sorry, really. I'm going to move on to the water signs now. And I'm trying to keep it real. You know, even though I saw those things, I want everybody to remember always that, number one, I'm not allowed to legally say this is your absolute fortune. I have to say that this is for entertainment purposes only. But for those who do feel they get something out of these readings, I want everybody to remember that tarot is a snapshot in time. And that when you are aware of circumstances that may be unfolding, you may have the opportunity to put real change into them and to change those outcomes that you do not like. So think about that. Definitely don't make rash decisions if you can avoid that. So moving on with our water signs reading. Water signs are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. And they do tend to be the most emotional of the signs. Their logic is emotional. They understand things from a different kind of level. It's not necessarily a better level or a truer level, but they may understand motivations or other people's feelings in a different way than other signs might. I'm just going to say that. Okay. And all of these readings, if you have a particular emphasis in your chart where you have planets or houses that are important in your chart that are more of another element, you should listen to those readings too and take that into account. So for example, myself, I have a lot of earth-based situations in my chart, although I am a water sign. So I like to look at that earth sign influence too, though. Excuse me. So water signs, your word of the week. Keeping up with our downer thread this week, dissension. Water signs, you may be feeling the sense of dissension. You may be feeling that there is disagreement or discouragement towards certain plans, disagreement, dissension, maybe arguments and coming apart over crucial matters. Keep these things in mind for this week. Try not to apply separative techniques to what you're doing. A lot of people are feeling like maybe they have to make dramatic decisions. I'm looking at some of my investments in the stock market and feeling quite helpless. So keep that in mind. We're going to go ahead and do our reading now. It's a lovely day here in the Metro Detroit area, so I am thinking of taking a walk with Banshee in a little bit. Probably after we're done with this reading here. Don't forget, if you join us on Facebook or Twitter, you can see our tarot card reading for the day every day. We put that out in the evening for the following day. And we like to think that one's pretty important. So that's TFT Tarot for today when you're in Facebook. Or for Twitter, it's at TFT Tarot number 4 today. So join us there. All right, your first card, water signs. Ooh, dear. This is a thread here. You have the upright 10 of swords. I guess I didn't shuffle them. Interesting. The Lovers reversed also. Everything happens for a reading, for a reason. The 9 of discs reversed. So this would imply that water signs may be experiencing some very similar situations in their emotional currents and undercurrents. It may be applying to the work situation. I do know that they're not going to let water signs like me work at home forever. The 9 of discs reverse sort of seems to indicate perhaps some sense of uncomfort. I think as we're getting through this, most of us are going to feel some sense of uncomfort. So it may be that those of you who maybe in the next week or so are going back to work, if you've been staying at home, you're not going to feel comfortable at first. I know I wouldn't. And I will be going back to work in about 2 weeks. I think they're keeping us off one more week, which is nice, but I do feel a little bit like I have some trepidation about going back into the workplace and being around people. I'm in a fairly high volume public service kind of industry. So I potentially deal with many people in the public throughout the day, 5 days a week. I'm feeling a little nervous about that, and I don't know if these other cards pertain to that. I mean, they were the same from the previous reading. The 10 of Swords seems to indicate a very decisive end to something, or something really bad feeling. In this sense, I think that because it's water signs, I think this is something maybe that will be more personal, that we may hear some really bad news, health-wise or otherwise, for somebody that we're close to or that we are in their periphery. Maybe it's the end of a relationship. We may hear about that, perhaps. Somebody we've known a long time maybe deciding to call that short. And, the sad thing about it is I've heard that in this current crisis, a lot of people are spending much more time than they spend with each other. And there's a lot of more domestic issues going on with people who are forced to be with each other literally 24/7. So water signs, I want you to keep your cool. I want you to say it's not the end of the world. You can mend a broken heart. You can figure it out. You just have to try to persevere. Remember, the word of the week is dissension, but don't let that be the word of the week. Think of doing everything possible to keep things from moving to that state of dissension. And that's what I have for you, water signs. So now we're going to move on to our final reading for the day, for the week, and that's the earth signs. Earth signs are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. They tend to be the least outwardly emotional. I tend to think that some of them are quite emotional on the inside, but it may be more of a personal thing. Um, and that's, of course, not necessarily true of all of them. Some Tauruses, some Virgos, etc., are quite level headed, quite more firm or controlled about their emotions. They don't necessarily let their emotions control them. It may be about controlling their emotions. So, with that in mind, I turn the word of the week and find how interesting, but it's premeditation. Premeditation is your word of the week. So I want you to think about that and remember that with all the things going on around us, with what I'm showing for the other elemental signs of the zodiac, um, be really careful and give some forethought to how you are deploying yourself emotionally. Don't let people get the best of you, that kind of thing. Try to be level headed. But I think that that's probably just uh, conventional wisdom for the earth signs. They do tend to be that way. I mean, I know so many earth signs, and they're all like that. And if you're wondering what card that was the King of Wands reversed, which shown up in one of our previous readings. I don't think it was reversed, though. So I'm not going to go with that one. I don't feel a strong calling to use that particular one there. So I'm just going to go ahead and shuffle and finish the reading. And I thank you for this time together, and I hope that these readings are good. Please like, share, or comment. Like our YouTube channel or subscribe to it, and you can be notified about when we go live and about some of our other things, our other programs. We've also done things specifically about world predictions. We have done a recent coronavirus one. We're not exactly happy about it, but we do know that most of what we predicted has been fairly accurate so far. We may be actually taking another look at that and reading some more cards. There'll be a message about that, or there'll be notice about that on our live stream. So here's what we got for the earth signs. We have the Queen of Cups reversed. We have the Queen of Discs reversed. How interesting. And then we have the Five of Discs reversed. And for earth signs, well, this is your natural element. Earth signs do gravitate towards the pentacles, coins, or discs as they are known. These cards also tend... This one isn't a disc, of course. These two are. These cards also, discs, tend to indicate matters related to materialism, prosperity, money, jobs, economy, things like that. So at any rate, the reversed Queen of Cups is indicating a person or a quality of instability from an imaginative and emotional point of view. And it may be saying earth signs are going to feel a little bit rocked to the core. They're going to feel like they're grappling with what they're not used to, some emotional unease. And it could, of course, be absolutely related to the situations that are going on now. I'm giving this reading about your emotional currents and undercurrents, your dealings with people and relationships. But most of us are not seeing anybody. We're only having relationships virtually or in very, controlled situations just with our own immediate family. So in a way, this is kind of just really challenging for so many of us to even have emotional situations with people. I call my mom and I feel like I can't say I love you enough, Mom, and I want you to be careful. And I think a lot of other people are possibly grappling with that too. So anyways, the Queen of Pentacles, the Queen of Discs reversed, is indicating a sense of not feeling like you can motivate. You're feeling stagnant. You're feeling like most of the things you've done are not working for you and you're feeling really incredibly unable to produce or do things. Yet at the same time, you are feeling perhaps with the five of coins reversed that something is there. You're just not quite there yourself to tap into it. You're wanting to absorb, I think, some of what all this is about. You're really trying to approach this from a logical point of view because perhaps you realize the realms of emotionality are not well suited to you at times. And so you really do want to approach these senses of loss and severe hardship and channel them better. And you're going to. You're just taking some time out for yourself, I think, at this next week to let some of that wash over you and feel that. And I think that's really why you got the card premeditation, if I want to tie that back in there. So that's kind of clever, I think. But this week, you're going to spend time thinking about all of what this has meant and where you will go, in the week beyond or the weeks beyond. So thank you, everyone, for listening. I hope you will continue to view my emotional exchanges, and I hope that things will perk up for all of us in the near future. Join us again next week.